I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV. I know the problem, you've got just one policy. You do the opposite of what the Donald does. Don't know what you believe just because you got that TDS. You've tested positive. There's nothing I can do for chronic low IQ. It's TDS. Open the borders, let Mamdani pick your pocket. Let the boys beat the girls, they got that extra rocket. A theology degree from Starbucks. You declare that America sucks. You got that TDS. You've tested positive. There's nothing I can do for chronic low IQ. It's TDS. Let's get this party started. If you're left, you're blue and probably retarded. Like Rosie, De Niro, Jimmy Kimmel, Kathy Griffin. No kings, no kidding. We don't live in Great Britain. If J6 was the worst thing you've ever seen, Soros, burning Sadie's a mostly peaceful thing. Bring back the cartels, commute their crimes. Sack the fact checkers like the New York Times. He's a Nazi, a fascist, a racist dictator who lets you say what you want to say.
Luke, I am your daddy.
You got that TDS. You tested positive. There's nothing I can do for chronic low IQ. It's TDS. No matter what he says, you must be really dumb, 'cause you keep blaming Trump for your problem.
Side effects of Trump derangement syndrome may include violent behavior, delusions, nightmares, insomnia, irrational hatred, hopelessness, anxiety, depression, blue hair, tantrums, inability to form coherent speech, difficulty maintaining gainful employment, and verbal diarrhea.
There's no cure in sight.
Hey folks, how's it going? Welcome to the program. I want to give you a warning right up front. This episode is going to be exceedingly tough. It's going to hurt. It will more than likely appall you. It'll take everything you have to stick with it, to see it, but it is something you need to see because you cannot turn away from this train wreck. And it deals with things that are the most emotional, heart-wrenching, precious, incredible things in our life, and that's our children and our grandchildren and our future generations. I'm going to introduce you to what's turning our kids into killers, and it's called the Golem Effect. My newest book just dropped. It's called The Golem Effect, Precious Pixels, Deadly Devices, and How the Digital Social Era is Creating Killer Kids. There's the URL on the screen if you want to read a portion of it or get a screenshot of your screen. This one's painful because it changes our kids into demons. You think Trump derangement syndrome is bad. You have no concept as to what's really happening, and that's why we're going to talk about this topic. It will be tough. Today's program is brought to you by the fine folks at Goldco. the reason I partner with them is because they're absolutely the best. I'm asking you to go to jovanlovesgold.com, request your free gold and silver kit today, because now is the time to protect your money with gold and silver. Digital dollars are coming. It's not going to be a good thing. It's going to be a weighty, heavy thing on all of us. Of course, not the government, but it is the way it is, and you need to be prepared with physical gold and silver to have some physicality to your assets. Okay, you're going to want to share this. I'm telling you, it's tough. You're going to want to share this. It is exceedingly tough to deal with this topic, but deal with it we must. We'll get started right after this.
Warning. The following program has been rated Gilligaff and is intended for open-minded audiences. If the truth offends you, or if you are allergic to focused intensity, intellectual athleticism, or the occasional F-bomb or even irreverent humor, please switch off now. If your delicate sensibilities need to be worried about or addressed, might we recommend the Underwater Basket Weaving channel to you? Otherwise, sit back, enjoy the wisdom, insight, and wicked sense of humor.
Cut the crap. How many times a day do you want to say that to politicians, the elite, the loony liberals, the fake news media, and the gender-confused emotional socialist snowflake crowd? Cut the crap is your secret weapon for fighting for our freedoms and our great republic. It all begins with a massive mental enema, freeing you from the toxic news and politically correct views, which constipate your consciousness with stinking thinking. Your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer. He's known for calling out politicians and telling them to cut the crap. You've seen him on virtually every television network and listened to him on Coast to Coast Radio. And now he's here to help you learn to fight for America. Culture, race, and American politics. They all have one thing in common. They all need to cut the crap. Now, here's your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer.
Okay, folks, I'm warning you, this is tough. It's going to be a tough one. I'm asking you, have the personal fortitude to stick with it so you at least understand it. We're talking about turning our kids into killers. I'm warning you about what's called the Gollum effect. It's a book I just released. And this is, and when you read the book, and I've told you the story before, I used to have nightmares during my rise in the technology field. And I would always dream about future forward in generations. And it was just this horrible horror story of what we turned our kids into. And it's plagued me my adult life. And I've been watching that nightmare play out of what happens to our kids, what it creates in our kids. And I am squarely in the middle of it, part of it, getting people to use their phones more. And it's inadvertently turning our kids into killers. I was warned via my dreams. And so part of it is to help fight this. And so I've been doing a lot of research and studying and understanding so I could actually pen the book called The Gollum Effect. And that's what we're going to talk about today, the Gollum effect. But I want to show you more what this looks like in children. You're seeing it more and more. His game device was taken away from his mom because he wasn't doing his homework or chores. What tipped me off to this when I decided to name the book The Gollum Effect is because almost unanimously, when a device is taken away from a kid, that kid says, it's mine, which is Smeagol, right? in Lord of the Rings. It's exactly what he says. It's mine. It's mine. Give it. It's mine. And so I wrote this book, which I'm going to take you through to kind of show you what's in it in a moment, is, wow, I understand this beast, this demon, this precious thing that can consume you. Seems very pretty and nice, and it's just a thing, but the thing actually turns you into a thing. And parents all across the country are dealing with this. It's not only small children. Here's a 16-year-old got her phone taken away.
She has all of her stuff down here. She's trying to push me down the stairs. Oh my God! Move! I'm getting out of here. Move! I'm not gonna let you go. Somebody help me! Somebody help me! The police are on their way. No! Alyssa, you can have your phone and your tablet back. I just want you to calm down, baby. Listen, you can have that stuff back. I'm trying to go. Alina, you can have your phone and your tablet back. Your punishment is over with. At this point, I want you to get some help. Okay? You can have that stuff back. Can you please go to your room right now? Can you please feet are cold? Can you please? Can you please? Can you please? Can you please? Let me get my husband going. He was in your meeting. Okay, all right. He's going home in a couple of days. She put her hands on me. You hit her.
I'm done. I hate you. Never call me ever again. I'm done. You're cut off. You are cut off.
You can have your phone and tablet back if you just go upstairs to your room. I need to go. My Uber is out there. Your Uber. Go tell that Uber to leave. Daddy called it for me. Go tell that Uber to leave. Daddy called it for me. You're not going to. You don't want to live with you. I don't care. I can't do this anymore. I don't care. You can't decide to go with me. You can't. Oh my God. You can't. You live here. I have full custody of you. She's abusing me. I have not.
Daughter calls the police, 911. She's abusing me. My mom took away my phone. I want to warn you. What you are watching is not a tantrum. This I want to let you know that is not a spoiled kid. That is not a tantrum. Stay with me. You'll understand what this possession is.
Stop. Hey. It's mine. I was playing. You ruined it. You broke the TV. You smashed my phone. I don't care. Oh my God. No, I want to play.
Hey, yelling isn't going to change my answer.
It's not fair.
You already played for 2 hours. It's time for a break.
I hate it.
Throwing things is not okay. Put the controller down.
Fine.
Deep breath. Come on, sit down. I know you're...
Screen time is literally weakening the brain wiring in kids aged 3 to 5 who use screens more than 1 hour per day. Meet Dr. John Hutton. He scanned the brains of 47 kids using a special MRI machine to look at white matter, the wiring that connects everything in the brain together. White matter is made of fibers coated in a fatty material called myelin that makes brain signals travel fast, like the rubber coating on electrical wires in your house. Here's how this works. When you talk, read, or play, you build stronger connections in your brain. The more you use these connections, the thicker the myelin coating gets. Screens are too passive. They don't fire the right neurons to build these connections the same way. Here's where it gets insane. The kids with the most screen time had white matter that was less organized in the exact brain areas for language and reading. They also scored worse on tests for talking, naming objects quickly, and reading skills. The brain literally wires itself based on what you do with it, starting at birth. We're raising a generation with weaker brain wiring from screens before they can even read. Follow me for the latest clinical trials and medical.
Now, I want to let you know something. You might think, oh, there's just learned behavior. They're doing it to get the device back. I want to warn you against that. And I, earlier in my life, before I started studying this phenomenon, would have thought it was just frankly, let's call it like it is, a fucking spoiled kid. It's not. It's not. It is an evil, creeping in the soul addiction that kid, just so you know, cannot control. Literally cannot control. And the moment that device goes away, that demon comes in. If you were to look at, even in biblical terms, how demons acted when they were cast out, raging, flailing, calling names, attacking, this is what you're seeing. And it can be from the tiniest. I see parents doing this, and there's tons of video. I could have played hours and hours and hours of this stuff for you. A baby sitting there looking at the little precious thing. They take it away. The baby starts screaming. They give it back. The baby just instantly, and they take it away and back, and they think it's kind of a game. They think it's kind of funny. No. Your child has become possessed, and it's all ages.
Give me big fucking iPads!
Have you had it?
No! Where's my iPads?
Come and sit down.
No, where's my iPads?
Come and sit down. Miley.
Where's my iPads?
Miley.
Where the fuck's my iPads?
Come and sit down.
Where is he?
Miley.
Where's my iPads?
Calm down.
Give me my iPads!
Babe. You've just walked in through the door.
And I want my iPads!
You're angry as hell. Have you had a bad
Give me big fucking iPads!
Have you had a...
No!
Have you had a
You
bad...
cheeky dirty runt!
Have you had a bad day at school?
Yeah, I am!
Right, stop shouting then. Shh. Calm down. God, look at your leg going, you.
They sent me on that trip to fucking do to Karen's Diner, and I went to it, I've gone in, and they're all fucking screaming at me saying, are you that bitch off TikTok? I'm thinking, fuck off!
Right, okay. Right, calm down. We can talk about that in a minute. Right, back to your iPad. Right.
Motherfuckers.
You know, we're going Thailand on Friday.
Yeah, I know we're going to Thailand, but you haven't fucking sold me an iPad for it. Oh, I hope you haven't sold that, because if you have, I promise you now, I'll sell all your shit!
It's amazing. Let me see if I played this one. Hang on.
3-year-old Alex.
Yes, I did. Let me explain what happens here.
3-year-old Alex is watching a screen while this cap monitors his brain activity.
What we're particularly interested in are these moments where, his brain can't keep up anymore, where the content is happening at a speed which is too fast for his brain to track, or it's kind of too complex. If stuff is happening, coming at us too fast, something called the fight or flight stress system kicks in, where your heart starts beating faster and you start to get a lot of energy released to your muscles. And that's your body readying itself to react to something at a moment's notice. Of course, this isn't actually useful anymore, because this is happening when children are sat still on a chair watching screen content. We've got some quite good evidence that things like kind of behavioural and emotional dysregulation tends to be associated with kind of more time spent viewing this type of kind of fast-paced, unpredictable content. Children's TV 20, 30, 40 years ago was generally much more slow-paced. Nowadays, we've got this big shift towards everything happening really, really fast on screens. And we don't really know very much about, how this change is affecting children.
Okay. So far in the little touches I've given you, you understand that it's rewiring brains. It's rewiring toddlers' brains. It's rewiring even your own brain. You have a little more defense systems the older you are in life, or depending on the time period you came up. But it rewires your brain. This is why it was so incredibly important for me to do this book. Let me make sure I've got it on my screen here. I'm going to kind of show you a little bit of a preview in this, just so you can see what's in the book. And I kid you not, when I say it's the Gollum effect, because a common denominator, as soon as the device is taken away from the child, the teenager, even the adult, that's mine. So I write it, I give you the analogy that I use to teach this lesson, because most people have in fact seen the Lord of the Rings trilogy, right? This Gollum effect, which is what I named it after, right? Thank you, Mr. Hader. Thank you very much for that on Rumble, that tip. I appreciate it. And I tell it, you know, at first I reacquaint you with Lord of the Rings in chapter 1, which is the fall of Smeagol, the precious that devoured a soul, so you understand where I'm coming from. And then I take you into what this Mordor, etc., Saruman has transformed into, which I introduce you to the thing called the Great Ba-Om, and that's the forging of the Gollum effect. And then into the Fourth Age, because, you know, the Fourth Age is the age of mankind. If you understand it from Lord of the Rings trilogy, it became the shadow of a glass, that glass we look at. But more importantly, hold on. I apologize. I'm trying to get back to the table of contents here. I'm sorry. More importantly, I share with you that kids are now murdering over it, murdering their very parents that took away the device, murdering their brothers and sisters. This has now reached epidemic proportions. It is not just, you think, a child throwing a tantrum. The child breaks and literally becomes a killer. I could have, if I just documented the incidences of this around the globe, I would have had to do multiple volumes of just the case files. You think Trump derangement syndrome is mild compared to what this is. It's mild compared to what this is. Because what has happened is, and I'm going to show you, please stick with me. There's so much incredible science coming up. I want you to understand it. We have, as society, you think transgenderism and cutting off a weenie's bad or any stuff like that. And by the way, I cover how digital devices even usher that in. The single most influenced category in the gender stuff that go to the extent of changing are the kids that are screen addicted. It is a direct correlation. I give you all of this. By the way, I give you the solutions. I give you parent solutions, church solutions, for yourself if you think you're addicted, for teens if they think they're addicted, counselors, teachers. I go through it. It's not just telling you about what it is. I actually tell you how to fix it. This is, on many levels, I would use it as demonic. Let me show you the promo for the book as we keep on going.
Is technology killing our children? Are we inadvertently tuning our precious children and grandchildren into killers? The Gollum effect is real and it is stealing our children. Award-winning, 4-time best-selling author, technology pioneer and futurist, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer presents the definitive manual saving your children, grandchildren, and all future children from the Gollum effect. Precious pixels, deadly devices, how the digital and social era is creating killer kids. The Gollum effect is real, and it is stealing our children. The Gollum effect is not fiction or exaggeration. It is the quiet, relentless transformation happening in homes, schools, and bedrooms across our nation. Just as Smeagol became the hollow, obsessive Gollum clutching his precious ring, our children are being consumed by screens, algorithms, and digital validation that promise connection but deliver isolation, anxiety, fractured attention, and distorted identities. We see it in the toddler who tantrums without a tablet, the teen who cannot hold a conversation without checking notifications, and the young adult adrift in comparison and purposeless scrolling. As parents and as a nation, we must name this enemy clearly. It is not neutral technology. It is a powerful force engineered for addiction that preys on developing brains, eroding the very qualities our children need most. deep focus, real relationships, resilience, creativity, and a secure sense of self. Ignoring it or downplaying it has already cost us dearly. Our most precious commodity, our children, our future, is at stake, and the time for complacency is over. We must know the enemy in this battle and be willing to face them head on. To win this battle, we must first know the enemy and then face it with courage and strategy. The Gollum effect thrives on convenience, normalization, and profit-driven design that exploits boredom, fear of missing out, and the human need.
Okay, that kind of gives you a good overview. I want to let you know something. I know for many of you, you've experienced this. I know it's painful. Don't walk away. Don't turn away. You're going to see this in your life. For those of you that have adult-age children who have children, I'm going to let you know that child is not throwing a tantrum. You can't punish a kid out of this. I want to say that again. Grandparents, aunts, uncles, clergy, counselors, neighbors. You're not watching a child throw a tantrum. That's where the danger comes in. You cannot discipline in the form of timeouts, spankings, or whatever. You can't discipline a child out of this. Their brain has been neurologically rewired. They are not even aware. This is identical to being on heroin or cocaine. Please stay with me and learn this lesson. This is part of why our country is so susceptible to being taken over. This is something that the political class, the elite, and the educational class are taking advantage of, because it's very easy to manipulate the brain if you just keep it in chaos. If you just keep it focused on chaos. For me, this is about living our best life and living free. You would want a friend to tell you you're addicted. We've never had, there's not, so you're watching, I want you to understand the monumental part here. We've never had a generation of adults that have had to help their children through this. I'll give you an example. Remember the weed movies from a long time ago, probably even before you were a kid, that weed would make you crazy, make you loco? I want you to understand the scale and effect. Back then, if you were at a high school of 100 students, maybe 3 students had access to weed. This is the equivalent of weed crazy like they used to do, but every kid has it in their pocket. Every kid, parent, peer, friend has it in their pocket. That's why I want you to understand the scale of this, because we're going to have to train a generation of people to understand what this is, how it affects the body, and how to get somebody through it. It is, in fact, an intervention, but it's not like you think, because this is different. This is kind of like what they used to call from the old Nordic warriors called berserkers. It's where the term going berserk comes from, that they would do drug-induced fearlessness, and that's how they go out and wipe out villages with no care in the world, because they'd be hopped up. It's probably more like the George Floyd effect. This is a drug. And it's a drug we willingly hand to our children. So I want you to understand, if you'll stay with me, and if you understand why I did this book, I had to help people understand what it really does. It is not tantrums. It is not a spoiled kid. I'm just telling you right now. Is it a sign of a bad parent? It's a sign of a lazy parent. It's a sign of a parent that just does what everybody else does, but that parent unwittingly does this. Folks, in case you just joined me, we're talking about my new book that dropped that's called the Gollum effect. We are, whether we like it or not, turning our children and our grandchildren into crazed killers. Part of the book, here's the URL, you can find it, or you can just take a picture of the code, it'll take you there. Part of what I wrote about in the book is I began giving you the widespread, I give you actual cases where a mom disciplines a son and he cuts her head off. It wasn't a spoiled kid. It wasn't even a bad kid. That's why I used the analogy of Lord of the Rings and Smeagol, because Smeagol is a pretty lovable character. Gollum is the issue. And he bops back and forth. And that got written about 100 plus years ago, everybody has that precious in their pocket now. Everybody. And it's created this weird, uncontrollable stuff. Now, and this is the drug that keeps giving, because not only does it change your neurological pathways and take over your brain and can turn you into a killer, it actually kills your brain at the same time.
What does it look like when an entire generation reaches adulthood with dementia?
There now seems to be proof screen time is making people less intelligent. The evidence is terrifying, especially for teenagers. Medical scans show significant shrinking of their brains. It's similar to what doctors see in elderly people with Alzheimer's disease. And so concerning is this condition, it's been given a name: digital dementia. You're looking at a brain scan of a teenager addicted to screens. And what it shows is frighteningly clear. Every blue part lit up depicts an area that's deteriorating. These brains are shrinking. Experts are blaming the damage squarely on excessive screen use. They believe playing games, scrolling on the phone, and YouTubing for hours is physically altering and seriously harming the brains of teens. Worse still, cognitive neuroscientist Dr. Mark Williams says this pattern mimics something normally only found in the elderly.
The symptoms that we're actually seeing with the younger kids is very similar to what you'd see with someone who is getting dementia. So it's not hard to correlate those two things and say, hang on, we sort of need to do something different here.
So our phones are making us less intelligent.
They're making us dumber, yeah, absolutely. Maybe 10% of them are doing something productive, but I'll guarantee you, large percentage of them are just doom scrolling.
Everywhere you look, you see people who aren't looking, except at their phone.
Get it out of eyesight. Turn it off even. But yeah, at least put it away, right?
For this neuroscientist, it's tragic what's happened to all of us, especially young people who were never given a choice. Controversially, he points the finger firmly at schools, where they're supposed to be building our future generation's intelligence, not shrinking it.
We need to make big changes in schools. You know, according to the OECD, we have more screens in schools than any other OECD country. There's no reason to have a device in an English class. There's no reason to have a device in a maths class except for a calculator, right? There's no reason to have a device in a history lesson. What they should be doing is using devices very sparingly.
More than a decade ago, schools across Australia started what, at the time, was an educational revolution. Bring your own device to school. BYOD. It was supposed to make kids smarter. But Dr. Williams believes it's done the opposite.
You know, here in Australia, we're now a year and a half behind where we were 10 years ago, according to the OECD. So, you know, we aren't doing very well. And that, again, can be linked to the devices in the schools where kids are actually bring a device to school, you know, have their gaming apps and all of that on it, have their email on it, have all those distractions going off all the time.
Abby Stove spent years trying to help her son Max beat his raging screen obsession. These days, she's relieved the 17-year-old has a healthy relationship with screens, but is worried about the damage his addiction has caused.
Somewhere in the brain can reset itself, because otherwise we're in a world of hurt. And I'm going to be caring for my son before he's caring for me.
That's how dangerous this is. I mean, I could literally pile it on. Now, I want to let you know, in the book, I don't just give you the doom part of it. 10-year-old murdering his family, 11-year-old, a 14-year-old, a 16-year-old, a 13-year-old. They're murdering nonstop over devices, right? Over devices. But you've got to have a way to deal with this. Once you understand what it does to your children and how you got a ticking time bomb, you got a ticking time bomb. Kids are killing their grandparents. Lauderdale Lakes in Florida, 14-year-old clubs his grandmother to death because she's trying to do the right thing with the device. 16-year-old in an adoptive family. I gave you pieces in all of it. So you got to understand this from what we learn when these kids get to their murder trials. It's truly a precious rage. 16-year-old goes into his mother. She took his device, smashes her head with a hammer. This is destruction. And when you combine with what we eat and feed our kids and the drugs our kids are on, it's dangerous. Now, I literally give you the science. One thing I can do is translate the science to you so you can understand it. This is not, oh, doom, gloom, horrible shit. Oh my God, we're dead, we're dead, we're dead. I want you to understand the neuropsychology. I don't need you to understand medicine or anything like that. You've learned it in my program. I can translate this stuff for you. So what I do is I give you every age, every single age, every single medical study, every single device issue that comes into play. This is the studies. These studies get buried because they're fighting big tech. And there's ways you have to do it, that you have to deal with these disorders. It's not hard, but it is incredibly hard if you don't understand what you're dealing with. If you don't understand what you're dealing with, if you don't understand what you're looking at, if you don't understand you're giving your kid dementia in advance. Let me show you one little precious toddler. Let me show you how she would act during her device addiction. Let me show you what she looks like when she follows like the advice I have in the book and you set the child free. Watch the before and after. See if you can see the difference in the beast. You watch that is prime example. You're watching proof this works. It's why I had to do the book on it. You're looking at what it transformed, the golem it transformed that precious baby into. And then when you understood what you're dealing with, how to set that baby free, just look at her eyes. That's why you need to watch this, because we've got to set our children free. And as parents, we tend to laugh at it, think it's funny. It's not. It's dangerous.
Tiara Lua, it's time to clean up. You see Zara cleaning up? Get up. Tiara. Get up, pick your toys up, and put them in the bin. Hello? Tiara. I'll collect the iPad though. Get up. No. I said, hey, get up. No. Okay. Get up and go and clean up. Go and clean up. I'm not giving it to you. Go and clean up. Go and clean up. Go and clean up. Go and clean up. No. Jesus Christ.
That's where it really tipped me off what I was looking at here, because as I looked at these cases, it's always mine, that's mine, that's the precious, that's the Smiggle.
Can I see this?
Now, I want you to understand something. It's very hard to watch this because it's a precious baby. That's not a tantrum. That mechanism hasn't developed yet in that small, precious child. Look how many people give these devices to small, precious babies. That baby, literally, neurologically, with the device taken away, thinks it has sustained an attack, an injury.
Can I see this?
See how quick that remedy worked? That's how addictive this is. And the parents laugh. Did you see how quick it worked? This is neurological. This is not a spoiled tot. This is a neurological infection. That precious child is already addicted. I know that's hard to watch. I know that is incredibly hard to watch, but it's true.
When your child explodes after you take their phone, it's not just drama, it's a signal. The device has become their main tool for regulating emotions. To you, it's just a screen. To them, it's relief from boredom, distraction from sadness, escape from anxiety. When you remove it, you're not just taking a privilege, you're removing their coping mechanism. This isn't only a discipline issue. It's dependency. And if screens do all the emotional work, kids never learn to sit with discomfort on their own. The answer isn't just punishment. It's replacement. Help them name what they feel. Sit with them in the boredom. Teach them they can survive uncomfortable emotions without reaching for a screen. That's how resilience is built.
Resilience is the issue. The kids. You're seeing this in Trump derangement. I'm trying to get right down to the source of what even prepped people or society on this.
Can you see the screen all right?
This is 5-year-old Rose. She was one of 60 kids to undergo an exhaustive study in the US, using an MRI machine to scan the brains of kids aged 3 to 5 years old. The results, truly shocking. Interactive screen time causes a loss of white matter in the brain.
Well, in the simplest terms, we could actually refer to as some measure of brain impairment or brain damage. So white matter in the brain is a material called myelin. So what myelin does is it wraps around the axons of neurons and acts like an insulator, a conductor, not too dissimilar to the plastic coating of a wire. So if we're seeing deficits in myelin production early in life, we're probably seeing deficits in neural connectivity.
The study shows the more screen time a child is exposed to, the greater the loss of white matter. Can you remember your first reaction to those results, not only as a professional in this field, but as a father?
My gut reaction was, wow, I was not anticipating seeing anything like that. It hadn't occurred to me at the time that something as little as, and it said 2 hours a day, was having such a profound effect on the white matter associated with sort of language development. And by association, literacy, it was a shock, to be honest.
He also believes big data backs it up. In 2010, smartphones became mainstream and affordable. Apps and social media exploded. So now we can track the impact. Psychological distress in our teenagers has skyrocketed. And look at the dates. It's all after the 2010 smartphone revolution.
Okay, I want you to stay with me because I'm gonna give you some more of the science in case you didn't know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about my new book I just released, just came out now. It's called The Gollum Effect. Right? It's called The Gollum Effect. Because we are inadvertently creating killer kids. It's just the way it is. Whether we like it or not, we contributed to this. And we have a problem. I'm going to show you the promo for the book. This time I'll let it play. And then we're going to hop. And I'm going to show you some science that will frankly terrify you. The good part of it is every bit of this is dealable. We can deal with it. We can recover.
Is technology killing our children? Are we inadvertently tuning our precious children and grandchildren into killers? The Gollum effect is real and it is stealing our children. Award-winning, 4-time best-selling author, technology pioneer and futurist, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer presents the definitive manual saving your children, grandchildren, and all future children from the Gollum effect. Precious pixels, deadly devices, how the digital and social era is creating killer kids. The Gollum effect is real, and it is stealing our children. The Gollum effect is not fiction or exaggeration. It is the quiet, relentless transformation happening in homes, schools, and bedrooms across our nation. Just as Smeagol became the hollow, obsessive Gollum clutching his precious ring, our children are being consumed by screens, algorithms, and digital validation that promise connection but deliver isolation, anxiety, fractured attention, and distorted identities. We see it in the toddler who tantrums without a tablet, the teen who cannot hold a conversation without checking notifications, and the young adult adrift in comparison and purposeless scrolling. As parents and as a nation, we must name this enemy clearly. It is not neutral technology. It is a powerful force engineered for addiction that preys on developing brains, eroding the very qualities our children need most. Deep focus, real relationships, resilience, creativity, and a secure sense of self. Ignoring it or downplaying it has already cost us dearly. Our most precious commodity, our children, our future, is at stake, and the time for complacency is over. We must know the enemy in this battle and be willing to face them head-on. To win this battle, we must first know the enemy, and then face it with courage and strategy. The Gollum effect thrives on convenience, normalization, and profit-driven design that exploits boredom, fear of missing out, and the human need for connection. It hollows out childhood through endless stimulation while starving young minds of unstructured play, nature, hands-on mastery, and undivided attention from loving adults. Facing it means rejecting the lie that everyone is doing it, or that screens are harmless entertainment. It requires intentional action, delaying personal devices, creating tech-free zones and rhythms, prioritizing outdoor adventures and real-world skills, teaching critical thinking about algorithms and comparison, and modeling presence ourselves. Parents, educators, extended family, faith communities, and mental health professionals all have vital roles. The good news is that practical, proven strategies exist, from family media audits and screen-free weeks to rich offline learning, spiritual formation, and accountability partnerships. We do not have to fight alone. When we name the threat and choose presence over convenience, we begin reclaiming the minds and hearts of our children. We can win this battle and save our future, but you must have a solid knowledge base and the tools needed to win. We can win this battle, and we must, for the sake of our children and the soul of our nation. Every family that implements device curfews and real-world adventures, every classroom that goes phone-free during learning, every faith community that forms identity in something eternal, and every young person who chooses accountability and purpose strikes a blow against the Gollum effect. Victory looks like children who play creatively for hours, teens who build deep friendships and meaningful skills offline, and young adults who enter life with focus, resilience, and hope. It looks like families eating together undistracted, laughing, and truly knowing one another. The battle is winnable because human beings were made for more than pixels. We were made for wonder, relationship, creation, and contribution. Our children are worth every uncomfortable choice, every boundary, and every redirected hour. Let this be our rallying cry. We see the enemy, we know how to fight it, and we will not surrender the minds and futures of our most precious gift. Together, as parents and as people, we can break the hold of the Gollum effect and raise a generation that is truly free, present, purposeful, and full of life. Available on Amazon, hardbound, paperback, and ebook. Order now. The time to act is now. Our children are counting on us.
Okay, so I want to let you know this is dealable with, but you got to understand the scope of it. But if you don't understand it, you cannot help your children, and you got adult children dealing with this. You cannot help your grandchildren or your great-grandchildren or even the neighborhood children. You cannot help them through it if you don't understand exactly what's going on and how it works. Here's a little bit more education.
If your kid spends too much time on a phone, here's what happens inside their brain. First, the blue light from screens blocks melatonin. That's the hormone that helps with sleep. Without enough melatonin, their brain can't fully rest at night, which makes them tired and cranky during the day. Next, every swipe, tap, and notification triggers a small release of dopamine, the brain's pleasure chemical. Over time, this constant stimulation can rewire the brain, making your child crave screens the same way people crave sugar or junk food. Too much dopamine overload makes it harder for the brain to focus on simple tasks, lowers memory, and even slows down learning. That's why kids may struggle in school, have shorter attention spans, and feel anxious or restless when they don't have a device. The truth is, screen addiction isn't just bad for the eyes. It's actually reshaping the brain. So stop it immediately and replace screen time with healthy activities, outdoor play. Comment yes if you're interested.
Does your child completely melt down when it's time to turn off a screen? As a pediatrician with over 25 years experience and a focus on integrative health and longevity, this is something I talk about with families every day. What you're seeing isn't just a behavioral problem because they're not getting what they want. Screens are designed to be highly stimulating. They activate dopamine pathways in the brain, which is one of the reasons some children have such a hard time stopping. Over time, excessive screen use can really affect their sleep, stress levels, attention, emotional regulation, and even how kids learn to tolerate boredom and frustration and also communicate with others. From a longevity perspective, I'm really thinking about the brain wiring. The habits and the patterns children develop early in life can really influence their mental health, their behavior, and their overall well-being for years to come. That doesn't mean screens are all bad or that parents should feel guilty. It means we need to set healthy boundaries. We need to prioritize sleep, outdoor play, movement, family connection, and screen-free time every day, like reading books and doing activities in the house and board games and building and being creative and just letting the kids free play and have fun. Because the goal isn't raising kids who can handle more screen time. It's raising kids who can thrive without needing it.
Have you ever seen a child react like this after a phone or tablet was taken away from them?
What? What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen?
He's always in his own world. He really quiet for real.
Oh, not right now. Mama, I'll bring the iPad back later.
If this reminds you of a kid in your life right now, you definitely cannot skip this video. Kids who were born at the same time as the iPad in 2010, kids who at 8 years old already had their first phone. And they're the only humans in the history of the world to have grown up with a gadget as a babysitter.
Mama, I'll bring it back, okay?
I mean, some of these kids haven't even experienced what it's like to get dirty and play outside with neighbors. They literally cannot comprehend a life without social media. And sadly, their parents have chosen the easy way out, using the iPad to shut them up.
Now let's get a little more into the science of it.
What teenagers do every single night to their brain should terrify you as a parent. I study Alzheimer's disease brains for a living, and I'm going to show you exactly why this terrifies me and why it should scare you. So this goes out to all of the parents who have teenagers who are on their phone for 2 hours or more per day. There was this massive study that was reported and printed in the New York Times recently, which analyzed over 10,500 children enrolled in the largest long-term study of brain development in the United States. They found that children who got a smartphone before the age of 12 had significantly higher rates of depression, obesity, and worse sleep at night. And the younger they were when they got the phone, the worse the outcomes. The lead researcher said this: when you give your kid a phone, You need to think of it as something that is significant for the kid's health and behave accordingly. I've seen headlines everywhere about brain rot, about kids becoming more dumb as a result of dumb content. And we've seen brain scans that show that frequent short-form video use is suppressing activity in the dorso-prefrontal cortex of the brain. And just as a reminder, brains aren't really fully developed until the age of about 25. So the exact region of the brain responsible for impulse control, decision-making and attention is actually being weakened. Short-form video delivers a variable ratio dopamine reward, which is the exact reinforcement schedule used in slot machines. And what are slot machines? They're unpredictable, they're rapid, they're endless. And it's being delivered to the limbic system that is already fully developed while the prefrontal cortex, the brake pedal, is still under construction. And there's so many more studies like this one here that tracked adolescents who habitually checked social media and found their prefrontal cortex was physically rewiring. So it was becoming hypersensitive to the digital feedback while losing sensitivity to real-world social cues. The architecture of the brain is changing because of social media and because of scrolling. I wrote the full breakdown, the exact mechanism, the protocol, the study on my Substack this week. So if you want to read this, just...
All of this is actually included in my book, folks. That's what we're talking about, is my new book that I released, The Golem Effect. I give you all the research, done all the work for you, went through every single study for years, for decades. I explain how it affects gender dysphoria. I explain how it affects creating this transgender effect. How it actually gets kids to kill themselves, how they play games to see if somebody can get another kid to kill themselves. This is a war zone. It's wicked. It's wicked. But the deal is, I come into chapter 52, this is a dire warning. If we don't deal with this, our children are seized. It's changing brains. This is different than anything we've ever dealt with in the history of mankind. But I go through every age group and whatever category you're in and show you how to deal with it, whether you're a grandparent or otherwise, whether you're a teacher, whether it's one of your kids, whether you're in the faith community, whether you're a homeschooler, whether you're a mental health professional, because they don't teach people to deal with it. But we've got to know our enemy. And this is where we kind of have to awaken to what I call the brotherhood of truth. We have to understand it. I'm going to give you about a 9-minute dose here so you'll understand from the technical, clinical side how bad this is and what we've actually done to ourselves.
I went to a conference a little while ago where there was a workshop, and a very well-known neurologist and a neuropsychologist, the two people were presenting, and they put up 12 slides. And these slides were of brain imaging of various kinds, and they asked the people in the room to have a guess at what they would diagnose this brain activity as, what was going on. And there was a bit of conversation about it, and the basic consensus was that this was the brain images of a person suffering from the illness of addiction. And they said, absolutely right. Any more information? And a couple of people there said, well, I specialize in this field, and that really looks to me like cocaine addiction, because the dopamine centers are transmitting so heavily, are lighting up so much. And the presenter says, you're absolutely right. You are right. So what are the other 6? Now remember, there were 12, right? So there were 6 other slides, 6 other cross-sections, other images. And turns out that they were images of children who were playing video games. And this group of people who were very knowledgeable about, who were neuropsychologists, most of them, and had specializations in addiction, some of them, had not been able to tell the difference between cocaine use and gaming. the whistle has been blown for a long time on the gaming industry, the social networking industry, and so on, that they've studied the psychological data, they've studied the neural psych data, and they absolutely know how to flood a child's system with dopamine. So much so that screen addiction is now a formal diagnosis in many countries. But the thing that I wanted to mention was a little bit more to do with us as parents, although this does as well, is that dopamine has a deeper aspect, and it's not talked about quite enough. And I want to raise it. There are some articles about this, but I want to raise this up a little bit into our consciousness. And it answers the question of why kids react sometimes so with such upset and even aggression when we shut off the device. Why do they do that? The answer lies in the deeper aspects of dopamine, in that dopamine isn't just pleasure and reward, it's desire and safety. And there's an aspect of safety involved in this, so that when a child is using a device, because of the flooding of dopamine, they get this very primitive message that you are safe here. As long as you're in my environment, in the gaming, in the social network, in the computer environment, you are safe. You have enough, and very primitively, the brain is interpreting this as I have shelter, and I have food, I have safety. And this is a sort of a baseline translation of dopamine for the brain. So therefore, when we take the device away from a child, we're removing their safety. We're removing their nutrients. We're removing, in a sense, what the brain thinks of as what I need to survive. So one parent commented to me, I feel like I've become the screen police and I'm sick of it. But it's more serious than just the police. We're not just the police. To the child's brain, we're a predator. We're actually posing threat. We are taking away, on a very primitive level, a child's feeling of safety, of nurturance, of shelter. And some kids can react badly. Other kids can react very aggressively to us doing that. And this is partly the answer as to why we encounter this kind of aggression, because we've now set ourselves up in this predatory role, or in this invader role where we're invading the shores and burning down their neural village. And my deep concern about this is it is exactly the opposite to what every parent wants to have a loving and deep connection and attachment with a child. And how can we do that as well as we could and realize that as fully as is possible if we're regularly being seen as a predator or an invader? It runs counter to what we're actually our long and deep held wishes are for our family. And you know what? It's not the children's fault. It's not their fault. But it is a dynamic, and it is happening on a daily basis. If we put these devices in our kids' hands, they get bathed in dopamine, and then we try and take them away. So this aspect of what's going on with screens, I think, in this whole conversation around screens for kids, it's the best we can do to simply inform ourselves, to get as much information as we can. But it's hard if we look around and everyone else is doing it, and all these kids, and they're 9, 10, 11 years old, and little babies have got iPads, and we look at the new normal of that, and a lot of that the decisions around to do that perhaps have needed more information. And I think before we put screens in our kids' hands, or even after we've done it, if they've already got access to all this stuff, it's important to know that closing the screen down is a way in which we are unwittingly disconnecting ourselves from our children over and over. So what to do? If you don't have screens in your child's lives, then you're good to go. If you do have screens in your children's lives, then you maybe want to do a screen detox, a 28-day brain reset. Victoria Dunkley, Dunkley, Victoria Dunkley, MD, has one of the very best websites and books called A 28-Day Brain Reset on this. But if you don't want to go down that route, at least before taking the screen away from a child, sit with them, rub their back, be with them. Maybe speak to them a little bit. Start pulling them away more slowly from the screen. They won't like it, and they'll go, "Mom, just leave me alone, I'm playing."
Now, and when you listen to his description, maybe you understand this is insidious. This is a drug addiction to that mobile device that has the same effects: heroin, cocaine, alcoholism. You see it in the children's brains. Scientists will look at it, therapists, and say, well, this is a PTSD survivor of combat. No, it's a 6-year-old child. I watched this occur. My patents are on every single wireless device in the world, 20 billion of them. People use what I patented, innovated, created, and thought of to help people out 7.5 billion times a day. It's not that anybody ever created any of this to be evil. It's that it had unintended consequences, and it has now been weaponized. And the reason mainstream education and stuff is not dealing with this is because our government, other governments, all the shadowy stuff in between has now learned how to manipulate this and move masses of people. Zombies are here, folks. It's not some infection where your kid got bit. We did it. And normally when you see these kids rioting and going in, bum rushing a store or whatever the case may be, you think, good thing my kids live out in the country. No, you know the one thing that's ubiquitous? That device. And they are not immune just because they live on a farm or they live rural. They are not immune because you homeschool. I think this is, if you're a parent or a grandparent or an aunt or uncle or whatever the case may be, I think you kind of have a responsibility to understand this. So in my particular style of teaching, I help you understand the analogy of what this is. So you can see in your head, this is something just as dangerous when you saw Smeagol in the ring in Lord of the Rings. It's not fairy tale. It's not myth. It's not fantasy. It's something that's here. And you saw that Precious take over everybody in that movie. They couldn't get away from it. You got to think, that was written well over 100 years ago. This is here. And that ring is everywhere. But you're not seeing bad attitudes in kids. You're not seeing an undisciplined kid. We're seeing more undisciplined parents because the system has stressed us and run us everywhere. And we're just trying to keep our kid calm. And what looks like calm is the drug that turns them into digital zombies, that turns them into homicidal maniacs. We've now reached the critical level. I can show you country after it's everywhere. It doesn't matter if you wear a dirty nightshirt and a rag on your head and you live in dirt sand. Same thing. But the world, the bad part of the world, has learned to use this and weaponize this. And they're getting their armies for free, and it's all at the cost of our precious children. And by the way, this can affect you as an adult as well. This is why I had to write the book. It's called The Gollum Effect: Precious Pixels, Deadly Devices, and How the Digital Social Era is Creating Killer Kids. I did this because in the 90s, mid-90s, I came up with a way just to help people use this internet better. Now you may understand why I don't do short-form content, why I'm always about the teaching, why I always bitch in my own program about focus, stay on topic, and chat. It's an epidemic. This is part of my penance of undoing it, helping undo it. But that's where free will comes in. Yes, I was blessed to help innovate technology. Yes, it crushed me when people, the .com crash happened or people made fun of it. Why would anybody scam? But I understood people have to get to information faster. For me, it's always been about learning, getting you the information you need when you want it. I had no concept of the dopamine effect and what it would do. We could see it in kids, but we just thought it was being spoiled. Now the science is in. So for me, I have to help people the way out of it. You never think about, as an inventor like I do, here it is all these years later. Like I told you, 20 billion mobile devices in the world have my technology on it and use it 7.5 billion times a day. But two things happened. None of us in any of this understood the unintended consequences. And by the way, I tell you, social media is the greatest thing at all times and the most destructive things at all times. It comes down to free will. But what's going on in the vacuum of that free will is we don't realize what it actually turns our kids into, because it was so easy for them just to babysit themselves. For the dark side, for the satanic side, the Luciferian side, it's creating those freaking orcs. And you would never intentionally do that to your child, to your grandchild. You would never ignore this in your own family. You just think it's spoiled kids or whatever, and it's not. It's something worse. It's a rabid infection. Please, folks, consider getting a copy. Get this out through your family. Get it out to lawmakers. Understand what we're dealing with. And let's begin setting our children free. I love you all. Share this program.
Is technology killing our children? Are we inadvertently tuning our precious children and grandchildren into killers? The Gollum effect is real, and it is stealing our children. Award-winning, 4-time best-selling author, technology pioneer and futurist, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer presents the definitive manual saving your children, grandchildren, and all future children from the Gollum effect. Precious pixels, deadly devices, how the digital and social era is creating killer kids. The Gollum effect is real, and it is stealing our children. The Gollum effect is not fiction or exaggeration. It is the quiet, relentless transformation happening in homes, schools, and bedrooms across our nation. Just as Smeagol became the hollow, obsessive Gollum clutching his precious ring, our children are being consumed by screens, algorithms, and digital validation that promise connection but deliver isolation, anxiety, fractured attention, and distorted identities. We see it in the toddler who tantrums without a tablet, the teen who cannot hold a conversation without checking notifications, and the young adult adrift in comparison and purposeless scrolling. As parents and as a nation, we must name this enemy clearly. It is not neutral technology. It is a powerful force engineered for addiction that preys on developing brains, eroding the very qualities our children need most: deep focus, real relationships, resilience, creativity, and a secure sense of self. Ignoring it or downplaying it has already cost us dearly. Our most precious commodity, our children, our future, is at stake, and the time for complacency is over. We must know the enemy in this battle and be willing to face them head on. To win this battle, we must first know the enemy and then face it with courage and strategy. The Gollum effect thrives on convenience, normalization, and profit-driven design that exploits boredom, fear of missing out, and the human need for connection. It hollows out childhood through endless stimulation while starving young minds of unstructured play, nature, hands-on mastery, and undivided attention from loving adults. Facing it means rejecting the lie that everyone is doing it or that screens are harmless entertainment. It requires intentional action, delaying personal devices, creating tech-free zones and rhythms, prioritizing outdoor adventures and real-world skills, teaching critical thinking about algorithms and comparison, and modeling presence ourselves. Parents, educators, extended family, faith communities, and mental health professionals all have vital roles. The good news is that practical, proven strategies exist, from family media audits and screen-free weeks to rich offline learning, spiritual formation, and accountability partnerships. We do not have to fight alone. When we name the threat and choose presence over convenience, we begin reclaiming the minds and hearts of our children. We can win this battle and save our future, but you must have a solid knowledge base and the tools needed to win. We can win this battle, and we must, for the sake of our children and the soul of our nation. Every family that implements device curfews and real-world adventures, every classroom that goes phone-free during learning, every faith community that forms identity in something eternal, and every young person who chooses accountability and purpose strikes a blow against the Gollum effect. Victory looks like children who play creatively for hours, teens who build deep friendships and meaningful skills offline, and young adults who enter life with focus, resilience, and hope. It looks like families eating together undistracted, laughing, and truly knowing one another. The battle is winnable because human beings were made for more than pixels. We were made for wonder, relationship, creation, and contribution. Our children are worth every uncomfortable choice, every boundary, and every redirected hour. Let this be our rallying cry. We see the enemy, we know how to fight it, and we will not surrender the minds and futures of our most precious gift. Together, as parents and as people, we can break the hold of the Gollum effect and raise a generation that is truly free, present, purposeful, and full of life. Available on Amazon, hardbound, paperback, and ebook. Order now. The time to act is now. Our children are counting on us.